To the JRPG Saturday stream. I want to apologize right in advance if you can hear some construction work going on outside. Unfortunately, in Australia, people don't seem to have the respect to let people relax on a Saturday morning, and there is all kinds of construction going on outside today. So hopefully that doesn't ruin the stream. At least, hopefully, you can hear me talking. At least that would be point number one. But yes, sorry if you hear a bit of background noise today. So we're playing Blue Reflection again. We played this last week, but we enjoyed it so much, we'll give it another go. And I'll just give people a moment or two to jump on in, which would be great. If we can chat with people. Hello, Justice is Hope. Welcome to the stream. I think this is the first time you've been on one, so thank you for joining us. I'll give everybody else a moment or two more to log in before we get going. Hello, Christian. So yes, people are coming in thick and fast, which is great to see. Obviously, Blue Reflection's a big draw card. And now there's a siren on outside. It's all happening this morning. Hopefully all of that settles down as the stream goes on. It'd be painful if I have to listen to that while I'm trying to play this game. It's a lovely game, Blue Reflection. If you haven't played it before, it's a very beautiful game. We played about an hour last week, and yeah, we got through the introduction. So just to summarize that for people who missed out or might be watching this stream later on and missed the first one, you play as a girl called Hinako. She is a aspiring ballet dancer who unfortunately got herself injured, and she transferred to a new school. As she transferred to that new school, she discovered that she's got some kind of magical powers, turning her into a magical girl. She's met two other girls, Lime and Yuzu, who have shown her the potential that she has, and yeah, so they've discovered that their job is to help out their classmates with the various personal troubles that they have. They've helped a couple of them out, and now we're about to get into the story proper. So the first stream, we got through basically just the introduction. Now things kind of heat up. Hello, Perfect Frost. Thank you for joining us. And yes, really glad to hear that you're having a good time, Christian. This game is definitely one of my favourite JRPGs. It's one that's stuck in my head. I can't remember when it first came out. Oh, there you go, 2017 in the credits. So this game is now 3 years old, and it's never far from my mind. It kind of represents what I like in JRPGs, and it really just hit such a sweet spot for me that it's something special. I hope that at some stage down the track, Koei Tecmo gets another look at it in some way, whether that is another a sequel or even just a Switch port or something. Just give me some more Blue Reflection, please. Yes, yes. They're both great characters too. Okay, we're going to go into load game. It'll probably disappear off the stream for a moment, just because I think it blocks the stream of load game. Hopefully I don't get kicked out of the game completely and the stream continues on, and we'll be back in a second with the game going in full. Great, we're back. Excellent. Didn't lose the stream. I got to say, I actually do empathize with her as well. I really find myself empathizing with Hinako because I do dancing myself as well, quite seriously. Ballroom dancing rather than ballet, but still, it's dancing, and I know what it's like to have an injury really screw up your plans, and it's not fun at all. It's very frustrating, and yeah, she's a very relatable character to me as a result of that. And remember, as we found out in the first stream in the introductory section, if Hinako helps out the other two girls with their magical girl stuff, she is promised to have her dream granted to her, her wish granted to her, which is obviously that she wants to be able to dance again. And we're into chapter 3.
何？また何かあったの？悪いけど、私。
そっちじゃなくて文化祭の話だよ。
なんだ、そっちか。
そろそろ話し合わないと。一度隣のクラスの委員と打ち合わせに行こうよ。
隣のクラス？それって。
特待科。文化祭の出し物は学年ごとにやるって聞いてない？うちの高校は小さいしね。
そういえば聞いた。あれ。
Indeed, and it happens really frequently with sport, with well, sports in general, but dancing puts an awful lot of pressure on the body, especially something like ballet. And yeah, a lot of people have their dreams ruined. It's not an uncommon event by any means, and I think that's why Hinako's a good character for this kind of game, because she is very relatable as a result. And even if you're not a ballet dancer yourself, or have never experienced that kind of injury, at least it's familiar. It's a familiar story. You probably know people that have had injuries kind of ruin their sporting dreams or their athletic dreams, and yeah, it may, because this game is very character driven. It was really important that the lead character was in some way relatable, and they've done a good job with that.
うちのクラスに何の用だろう。失礼。文化祭のことで話しに来たんだけど、このクラスの代表の人いるかしら。それなら白井さんだよ。ほら、あそこ。白井？ひなこ？やっぱりあなただったの？
サラさ、同じ高校だったんだ。
それはこちらのセリフ。なんであなたがここに？しかもなんで普通かなんかにいるの？
それは。はい
はい、文化祭の話ね。じゃあ廊下に行こうか。ほら、ひなちゃんも一緒に。それで一体どういうことなの？あれ以来どのコンクールでも見かけないし、何してたのよ。
それは
仕方ないでしょ。ひなちゃんバレエやめちゃったんだもん。はあ？何言ってるの？バカじゃないの？ライムバカじゃないよ。ひなこがバレエをやめるなんて世界が滅んだってありえないわよ。本当だもんね、ひなちゃん。 の子が勝手に言ってるだけよね。ね。
いや、ライムの言った通りだよ。
どうしてあなたあんなに踊れたのに。もしかしてスランプ？そうよ、あなたがバレエをしないなんてありえない。一時的なものなんでしょ。それとも何？私の上を行くための奇策を練ってる最中なのかしら。なんとか言ったらどうなのよ。あなたに何がわかるの？ひなちゃんは。ライム、落ち着いて。何なの？
今日の放課後、屋上に来て、そこで話す。
私まだ納得してないから。ひなちゃん。何なの？ひな子がバレエをやめる？そんなのあるわけないじゃない。あっていいわけない。
どうしたの？そんなに怒って。珍しいわね。
マオ、今日は学校に来てたの？
今来たばかりよ。今朝新幹線で戻ってきたところ。
天才子役も大変ね。
元ね。さすがにこの年になるともう子役とは言えないわ。それでどうしたの？すごい機嫌悪そうだけど。
別に。ただちょっと隣のクラスで知り合いに会って驚いただけ。
隣？もしかして文化祭のこと？
そう。
ごめんなさいね。私がいないことを多いから迷惑かけて。
気にしなくていい。そのために私がサポートに入ってるんだし。
ありがとう。でも知り合いに会ったのにどうしたの？もしかして嫌いな人？
いいえ。
じゃあどうして？
だからこそよ。ひなちゃん、一緒に行こうか？
いい、私一人で。
ひなちゃん。
行ってくる。
ちょっといいの？今はひなちゃんを信じるしかないでしょ。そんなこと言ってる場合なの？もう分かってるよ。でももう焦っても仕方ない。15が壊されたってことはすぐそこにいるはず。今さらジタバタしても変わらないよ。ライムは諦めたくないの。それはユズも同じだよ。信じましょう、ひなちゃんのこと。分かったよ。
Okay, so after all of that, obviously we're still meeting new characters. It's still very early in the narrative, so got to introduce them. The red-haired girl is a rival ballet dancer, frenemy of sorts, and yeah, so we're still going through Hinako coming to terms with her injury and the impact that's having on her relationships with the people that she knows around her. like any JRPG, there's a
嘘。
a
今
long
日今の朝
introductory
にできたんだ
section
わ。
to this game.
地方ロケからもう戻ってたのね。
There's quite a few characters in it.
ロケ
There's only the three main characters that you control in battle and through the JRPG bits, but pretty much all the classmates are imported in some way or another to the game, and you do learn about them all. So it's got a large ensemble cast.
私こう見えて女優してるの知らない？
ごめん、私あんまりテレビとか見ないから。
気にしないで。私もまだまだね。白井さんのような人でもわかるくらい有名になるように頑張るわ。
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's done in such a clever way that you really do want to build your relationships with all the characters. Another example, I guess, of a game in which you do need to build relationships with all of the classmates in order to have them help you in battle, and in other ways, is the Caligula Effect, which is another good game which I might stream down the track as well. But that game, all the classmates are kind of, they're almost nameless. I mean, they do have names, but it's hard to remember who's who, and let alone get a sense of personality from them. This game does a much better job of making sure that you know who every single character is in it, which I like. I like large ensemble cast
す
kind
ご
of
い人なんだ。
games or stories. Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, I will definitely do Caligula Effect at some point because it is another game that I think is an underrated masterpiece. I think it's probably one of the most intelligent JRPGs I've ever played. So it would be a good natural move to go to excuse me to go to that one after playing this one.
近いうちに出し物の話し合いをすることにな
I
ると思
guess
うけ
that
ど、
will be my next
その時はよろ
JRPG
しくね。
for the stream. Sorted.
あ、うん。
それとサラさなら急いで教室を出て行ったわよ。あなたのことを待ってると思うから早く行ってあげてね。それじゃ。
Sorry, Shadow, which one do you mean? Do you mean this game? This game was released in the West, and then unreleased potentially. I'm not sure if you can still get it in on the PlayStation Store or whatever, but it was released in English in Western markets at some point.
悩んでてもしょうがない。行こう。
I believe the Vita one might have only been released in Japan. This is the PlayStation 4 one. Yeah, no worries. Happy to help. Just have a look for it on the PlayStation Store if in your region. It may or may not still be there. They might. I know they definitely took it down in some places. Like I don't think you can get it in Australia anymore. But back when it was just launched, which is when I picked it up, it was definitely available. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like it when characters can be important without having to be part of the party as well. Looking at Persona there, um, I think the Persona series maybe has a few too many playable characters when they could have just had them as particularly important non-playable characters. Okay, so after all of that dialogue stuff, I've got control back, and I need to head on up to the rooftop again because there's somebody, the ballet dancer girl that I need to talk to. She's up there, and I'll just do that. I don't know how well you can hear the music on this stream because I've had to turn it right down, obviously, because I want to make sure that the microphone doesn't get drowned out. But if you can hear the soundtrack to this game, it is one of the loveliest soundtracks, and I highly recommend picking up CD or finding the soundtrack in some way to listen to outside of the game. It is very easy listening, relaxing stuff. Very airy is the best way to describe it. Okay, so we're going up the stairs. A couple of people to chat to along the way. What should I make for dinner tonight? Pasta, arrabbiata. Arrabbiata is always the way to go. Arrabbiata is the chili tomato sauce pasta. It's great. Can live with that stuff. And you can just move around using the map, which is much easier to do. Still don't have the little phone app. That comes later. I'm looking forward to showing you that. There's a little Tamagotchi style mini game thing that you can play once you have that app unlocked, and it's good fun. To the rooftop.
来たわね。
サラさん、
それで一体どういうつもり？バレエをやめたって本当なの？
うん。
なんでなの？なんであなたが？だって
膝を痛めたんだ。結構大きな故障だったけど、その時は復帰できると全然疑ってなかった。私たち故障なんてしょっちゅうだしね。早く治して練習しなきゃって。だけどいくらリハビリしても全然痛みが引かない。それで改めて先生が紹介してくれた信頼できるお医者さんに聞いたら、日常生活は問題ないし簡単な運動はできるって。だけどバレエみたいな激しい運動はもう膝が耐えられないって。
そんななんでなの？そんなことで諦めたって言うの？そんなこと、私だって諦めたくなかった。ずっとバレエを踊りたかった。でもしょうがないでしょ。今でもまだ思いっきり力をかけると痛いし、使えば使うだけ悪くなる。私の足はもう。それで今は何もせず普通に高校生活を謳歌しようとしてるってわけ？
私がどうしようとサラさんには関係ない。
なんで？サラさん、なんで？
So as you'll remember from the last stream, when one of the characters starts to go glowy like that, that means that they've become emotionally unstable, and you need to jump into their vision world, their alternative universe where you get to be the magical girl, and you need to rescue them by grabbing a fragment, what's called a fragment. So we're about to go into a dungeon, in other words, which means action time.
二人ともサラサが。
Yeah, her introduction's a little bit weird. It's like she's pinning way too much on Hinako being able to dance into her own identity. She's one of the odd characters, but she ends up having a nice arc in her own way.
ひな
And in we go. Okay, so this is the first time we have a proper kind of dungeon environment, because the last time, in the last stream, they were all tutorial style dungeons, so they were fairly simple, but this time around we actually need to explore properly and deal with enemies, as we will in the future game, the future dungeons as well. So we're at the point now when we're getting right into the groove of things.
ひなちゃんさあ早くあの子のフラグメントを探しに行きましょう。
分かった。
ひなちゃん大丈夫？
私がいか
ひなちゃん
Okay, so now we need to start messing around also with the fragment system, because once you rescue the fragments from the various characters, they become kind of assists in battle. And now the dungeons become a little bit more complex with some jumping abilities. This is a Angar world dungeon, I think is the one, because remember from the last one we saw that, from the last stream we saw that there were 4 different worlds in the world of Blue Reflection, 4 different alternative universes based on various themes. This one's based on Angar, so you can see all the red and stuff. Still very beautiful, of course, because everything in this game is beautiful. But let's see if I can... I need to go through the growth and fragment stuff, because my characters have leveled up a bit, so I need to do this. So I will increase Hinako's attack strength, because she's kind of a frontline melee fighter. I'll also increase her defense, which also then unlocks a whole bunch of different skills, so she can do more in battle. Let's do that. So there's only 4 statistics to manage. This game keeps the RPG stuff quite streamlined. The micromanagement's pretty minimal, which is nice. I think too many RPGs get too complex for their own good. This one didn't need to do that. I will increase Yuzu's support. She's basically a support character with a lot of healing abilities. And I'll also increase her defense, because, you know, she can still take damage. And she gets a whole bunch of newer skills, which is good. And then let's increase Lime's. Well, Lime's also very useful in battle, thanks to that that bear. So let's increase that, and let's also increase their support. There we go. So each time you increase your character's statistic in one way, they level up. That's how the level up system works. Like I mentioned, there's no experience system in this one, which is good. Again, keeping things nice and streamlined. And then we've got the fragment system. So I've got a couple of fragments here that I can drop in. They increase the strength of attacks. Let's... what will he do? Let's upgrade Bear Palm. Actually, I don't know if I... oh, there we go. Let's do... that, and we will also do that. Okay. So we've put the fragments in, we've leveled up everything, we're ready to now fight the enemies. Let's do this. So as I mentioned, Yuzu's a support character. She's starting to unlock some support abilities now. That's that one improves the MP, and you do go through a lot of MP in a battle in this game. So that's a really useful ability that you'll use a lot. That one, meanwhile, increases health, so she's a healer as well. But I don't need either of those right now. Let's do Storm Daisy. Which is more useful when there's a group of enemies. That's a group attack thing. Let's try this one. That's another group attack. Battle 1. There's some loot. Okay, so as you can see, this is a slightly more complex dungeon in the sense that there's a couple of different places we can go. We'll go that way. In part because there's a cool jump that you need to make. Oops, pressed the wrong button. I jumped when I was meant to hit. Okay. This game has some really nice enemy design as well. Again, it's fairly minimalist in its approach, but it's quite elegant. This one. Yeah, it's really good. The thing I really like about this game's combat system is that it is quite... Every single battle is strategic because enemies tend to have quite a bit of health and battles go on for a little bit longer. With a lot of other JRPGs, the common enemies are just... They're just a repetitive loop. You just kind of roll through them because they're not particularly difficult. But with this one, you do need to keep on your toes, and each battle you need to make sure you use a full range of skills, and it just it makes every battle feel more meaningful is the point, and I really like that. I prefer JRPGs not to have combat just for the sake of combat. I like every single battle to have some kind of reason to be there, which I do feel this game does particularly well. Okay, so nothing more that way. We've got a bit of treasure. We'll go back and we'll go this way. There's a vending machine. Everywhere in Japan there are vending machines, including Magical Girl Dimension dungeons. A little bit of humour in the game. Not that I think it's immediately apparent to us, because we don't have to deal with seeing vending machines on literally every corner. You never go without a drink in Japan. If you're thirsty, you will find a vending machine. What I wouldn't give to have one of those bears for myself. That bear is just an amazing... Best weapon in a JRPG ever. Makes swords and stuff boring. Okay, vending machine. It's just there. We'll grab this bit of treasure. fight this enemy, and grab that bit of treasure, and move on to the next part of the dungeon. Yeah, the boss battles are really cool. They're also really, again, really nice enemy design, which makes them enjoyable. Let's try something a bit different. Let's do a fire attack. See, the bear's not just good at dishing out the physical damage, it's also a magic user. Yes, vending machines are incredibly convenient, and there are times where I've been on a road trip, for example, in Japan. You get to a rest stop, and you can actually get like fried chicken and chips out of a vending machine, which is great. It's just what you need when you're hungry and on the road. But yes, they are absolutely everywhere in Japan, and there's some that you just wonder how they actually get the drinks and food and whatever into them, because they're up, steep mountain climbs and whatever, and you just wonder who actually carts the drinks up there, and how do they carry bags that heavy, or because you can't get a truck up there, that's for sure. It's amazing just how easy it is to find vending machines in that country. Hello Patty, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. You've missed about the first half hour of the stream, Patty, but to just quickly fill you in, the girls met another character who needed help, so they're in the dungeon here helping her out. She's another dancer, and she's got, emotional issues with Hinako not being able to dance, so which is an odd character introduction, but it is what it is. She ends up being quite an interesting character. Yes, it's a lovely art book. It's also worth following Mel Kishida on Twitter if you use Twitter, because he puts a lot of his kind of original art up there as well, and he is an amazing artist. It's not just this game, everything he touches turns to gold. He's one of my favourite artists, I think, working in the anime space in Japan. I mean, I picked it up from Japan itself when I was there, so I can't help you there, unfortunately. But I'm sure Amazon would have it. Yeah, Atelier, that's where I first discovered Mel, obviously, because I played the Verona, Totori, and Maruru trilogy. They were my first Atelier games, so it was a good place to start, really. I'm pretty sure Atelier Lulula, which was released last year, existed only simply because Mel Kishida, people love his art so much, they wanted to see him do another Atelier. It made more sense for him to do one more sequel in the Arland series than create a new trilogy, because Gus liked to work in trilogies for that series. Yes, if it was anywhere else but Japan, I would not have risked fried chicken out of a vending machine. But I have reasonable confidence that I'm not going to go into that country and walk out with food poisoning, so I feel safer with the fried... It was good too, it was good fried chicken. I was very impressed. And cheap. The delights of Japan. Okay, so after all that, we're now fighting for the fragment, which would be the end of this dungeon, because we've discovered that the reason that Hinako's classmate is so upset by her inability to dance is because there was a rivalry going on. She wanted to be able to beat Hinako at dancing, which is a bit, I don't know, a bit selfish. Not really considering Hinako's feelings in all of this, but it is what it is. The dramas are schoolgirls.
負けない決める
どうしよう。これならどうだ。何をしようかな。ほら、お願い。
次はどうしよう逃がさない
何をしようかな。痛いよ。このくらい当然だよ。
And the bear comes to the rescue again. Okay, so I've won that battle, which is nice. Got a bunch more dropped items,
これで
and
邪魔者はいなくなったね。ひなちゃん、お願い。
eBay, yes.
でも
I mean, the book wouldn't have been released in large quantities, especially outside of Japan, so it doesn't surprise me that it would cost quite a premium.
さっきのはひなちゃんがあの子の感情を理解できてなかったからうまくいかなかった。もう一度気持ちを受け止めて耳を澄ませてみて。
They actually, for such a low-profile game, they did create quite a lot of merchandise for Blue Reflection, obviously leveraging off the art, and I've got quite a lot of stuff. I've got this really lovely tapestry, which is kind of the pride of my collection of Blue Reflection stuff, which is of one of the main promotional images of Hinako with, you know, both her school uniform version and her transform version. So that's, you know, that's a really nice tapestry I've got hanging on my wall. I've got a figure of Hinako, which actually is a little bit disappointing. The figure, it's nice enough, but it's not up to the same standard as some of the Miku figures that I have, which is pretty high standard. So the expectations I have, I guess, for figures is a little bit high, but it's still nice. It's still a nice collectible. And then I've got a lot of clear files, because just about everything gets clear files in Japan as collectibles. You don't use them for holding documents like you would, because they're actually, you know, very high quality artwork and they're collectible. I've got dozens of those things. But yeah, there's quite a lot of merchandise. If you click around, it'll need to be kind of second-hand spots, I guess, these days, because the game's a couple of years old, but it's worth looking into because the art is so lovely.
何を目標にバレエを踊ればいいの。
So again, Sarasa wants Hinako to be able to dance because that gives her a goal of beating Hinako.
そうかこの感情は
Which is a pretty deep insecurity when you think about it, but
バレエのない生活って
as long as I can move past it, I guess.
そんなの死んでるのと変わんないよ私は何を目標に生きればこの感情は恐怖だったんだ
ひなちゃん。
戻ろうサラサと話をしなきゃ
なんでなの。
サラサ あのさ、何？
これはもうなの？
もうって何が？
So that's a big ugly thing. And just proof that what happens in the magical realm does have an impact on the real world. So there is a crossover there, and that's really what Lime and Yuzu are there for. Their job is to fight back against these things from invading the real world.
あれがあんなのと戦うの？
そうだよ。
どうやって？
ひなこちゃん。
その絵、リン。
よかった。ひなこたちは無事だったんだね。
どういう意味？
大変なの。
分かってる。あいつのことだよね。
それだけじゃないの。私たち以外みんな動かなくなっちゃったの。
どういうこと？
わからない。けどあの化け物が急に
They do indeed. They're giant and impressive in design and scope.
まさか。
大丈夫だよ。みんなは時間が止まってるだけ。原種がもうここまで来たからね。今は顧問にいるのと同じような状態。
じゃあなんで2人は？
指輪をしてるから。それでリフレクターの力が流れ込んで顧問の力を共有してるから。だからこうして指輪をつければ。私何あれ。こうなるってわけ。みんなお願い。あいつを倒せるのはユズたちだけなの。力。あれと戦う？そんなの無理だよ。大丈夫。そのための力はある。
Yeah, it's because the bosses are that obvious kind of rejection of reality and nature and the rebellion against those things. It makes sense that the music would be very tonally different as well. So I think I definitely think it works. It's just another element that's been really well thought through with this game. It might not have the biggest budget, but everything, you can just tell that everything was really carefully considered when they were making this one.
原種が来たから現実でもエーテルのリフレクターの力を使えるようになってるの。このままじゃみんなあいつにやられて死んじゃう。でもどうやって。その指輪にはみんなの思いの力が詰まってる。何を言って。何か感じる。これを使えばいいの？お願い、ユズたちを助けて。ひなちゃん。
分かった。どのみちここで戦わないと死んじゃうんだし、やってみるよ。
ありがとう。それじゃあグラウンドで迎撃しよう。
Okay, so we're about to start our first boss battle, which is going to be exciting and dramatic. Got to protect the school after all. So we also get to use Overdrive now as a new ability. And then also supporters, so the other girls that you've made buddies with and help them out through their personal issues now can help you out as well. Yes, the tone of Blue Reflection, I know we've mentioned it before, is just really graceful, elegant, and quite beautiful. It's got a tone quite of its own, quite unique. Okay, so we just need to do a bit of setup. Also some growth. I'll level up my characters each a little bit, which I will do, because boss battle, you need every advantage you can get. Okay, so done that. Fragment. Let's give Hinako one. Actually, no, we'll give... What am I doing? There we go. Okay. So set up all of the fragments. That's just the... Okay. Nothing that way. Out to the field where we get to fight the boss. Okay, so we'll set up our supporters. I'll give them each one. Yes, I think, I mean, one of the main reasons is that there's a real nostalgia for the time that you spend at school in Japan, because it is such a difference between the life that you live while you're at school with your classmates, and you have to remember in Japan there's a lot of pressure to also do extracurricular activities, sports, and all that stuff. So you actually end up spending a lot of time while you're at school, both within the classroom and with your schoolmates doing the extracurricular activities, whereas in the West, you tend to just spend the time at school, and then your extracurricular activities are often independent of that school. So before you go and then become a salaryman or woman, or generally get into the workforce, you have this great experience, and there's a real nostalgia for that, I think. And from the discussions I've had with Japanese developers about this topic, and I've actually asked them that question, that's basically it. It's just they have these fond memories of their time at school and want to recreate that feeling.
じゃあ行くよ。みんな頑張ろう。まだ距離があるわ。序盤だけど油断は禁物だよ。
So the first thing I will do is I will... Not right now, actually, I'll wait for that for a bit.
シューキン。なかなか効かないね。
So yes, as you can see, the boss has a lot of health, 2,870 hit points that I need to wear down. At the moment, things are nice and straightforward, but it's going to get tense quick.
まだまだこれから気をつけよう。
No, I'll still do this. Actually, no. Now I can. I will use that on Hinako, so her MP will increase each turn. I'm going to need all the MP I can get.
ありがとう。まだ戦いは始まったばかりよ。気をつけて。
Let's hit the monster with some fire.
全然余裕そう。
魔法の力だ。
序盤だけど油断は禁物だよ。
これが私の力。
長い戦いになりそうね。 じゃーん。元気いっぱい。なかなか効かないね。
It is odd. It is, yeah, it is definitely an odd thing to us,
大丈夫？
but yeah, that
助かったわ。
I think it more has more to do with
気をつけて。
just how depressing traditionally it can become to get into the workforce in Japan, where you have to do, very long hours. Your social life tends to fall away. This is traditionally, it's changing a bit these days, but there's a definite sense of freedom and liberation from your time at school that a lot of people end up feeling very nostalgic for in Japan over the long once for the rest of their lives once they get into the workforce. So I think that's it.
これが私の力。
ちょっとやばいね。
What do I do? What do I do?
まだ戦いは始まったばかりよ。気をつけて。
So now I have to deal with a second phase of the boss. I'll do that actually.
容赦しない。
And I'll call on
これな
my
ら
buddy to help out.
それ。
こ
気をつけて。
Yeah, I obviously haven't experienced American schools, but from reputation, I know there's they're not necessarily the same kind of experience that you tend to have from the Japanese school system.
魔法の力だ。
So I'm doing a good job of knocking out these additional arms. Really important to do so. Let's go with... that.
力をためて。あと一息。はっ。行くわよ。
I do like a game that has ballet moves as a power-up ability. That's a cool touch. Let's increase MP back to Yuzu. Okay, so that looked creepy. Let's do overdrive. No, wait. That's only going to work once at the moment. Let's do a normal attack. So the bosses managed to bring back all of those things that they just knocked out.
全然大丈夫ね。
Blue reflection dancing all night? Yeah, I'd be all for that. That'd be fun. Let's go with
これが
this.
私の力。 まだまだこれからだよ。
それ。 オーバードライブのチャンスよ。
力をためて。
So as you can see, overdrive just lets you do a couple of different attacks in a row, which is pretty useful. It lets... Oh, Lime's quite injured. I better heal up Lime as well.
大丈夫？
So I use that overdrive to support my characters, focus on getting them better.
助けるよ。 私がやるわ。
And then a bit of a massage helps heal my characters again, which is nice. Well, that's interesting. I'd never thought of that. Also, Hello Cat's Retro Gaming. Yeah, Chaos Rings. I'd never seen that comparison. That's an interesting one.
お願いね。
I can see that now, I guess.
行きます。行って。
So I'm just about to defeat this boss now, which is good. Chaos Rings was very good, absolutely. Very good game.
あともう少し。
So boss has got 459 hit points left. Let's see if I can quickly deal with it.
逃がさない。
あともう少しよ。
Yeah, there's all kinds of little details you'll notice in the visuals, especially with those special attacks because they're so complex, so intricately designed. Ooh, will I defeat it with this attack? Yes, yes I do. No, almost. Damn it. That's right, the bear gets to finish it off. Yes, the bear is going to defeat the enemy, the boss. Super bear! Bang. That bear is great. Every video game, every JRPG from now on needs a bear as the weapon. Key weapon. So as you can see, the boss battles, this is just the first boss in the game, and it is a fairly... I mean, it wasn't too risky to my party, I wasn't going to lose, but it's a fairly complex battle. You need to use a lot of different special abilities, slowly whittle down the health, and the rest of the boss battles continue to ramp up from there. Super Ted. Yeah, Super Ted. That's maybe his nickname. Let's call him Super Ted from now on. I think I said this last week, but if I was to pick one issue I have with the game, and it really is a small thing, and it is just one issue across the whole game, I do think that this game gets a little bit obsessed with explaining itself. It seems to be aware that it has these plot holes and these difficult, these kind of logical leaps, and it goes to such a great length to try and explain away them, and it's just a waste of time. That's the one issue I have with this whole game. Thankfully, that kind of reduces once they've finished trying to explain everything that's going on, so won't have to deal with that too much longer. Yes, magical girls are definitely the thing that protects us all. Forget Superman. Yes, at least it is not Kingdom Hearts. He's absolutely right. I honestly find Kingdom Hearts to be unplayable because it gets so densely into its lore that it's just, it's exhausting. So I will not ever be streaming Kingdom Hearts on this channel. I'll say that right now. It's a series that I wanted to like because Disney, and I've always wanted to have an RPG with Donald Duck, and they got so close to giving me that, but then ruined it by going stupid on the narrative. Yes, it's not uncommon that the anime world does this. Bleach is another one that's great at just going into these long-winded explanations on every single thing that's happening, and kind of stopping the action to do so. But yeah, thankfully, like I said, Blue Reflection does pull back on that once they're finished.
バレエがない私なんて死んでるのと同じ。
ひなこ。
だから私は戦う。原子を全部倒す。
よくわからないけど、私も協力してあげる。
サラさん、ありがとう。
あなたのためじゃない。あくまで自分のためよ。ライバルがいないと張り合いがないもの。ひなちゃん。
私これからもなるよ、リフレクターに。またバレエをできるようになってエトワールになる。
エトワール？フランス語で星って意味だよね。
トップバレリーナのことをそういうの私の夢。
Speaking of ballet, actually, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, it is free on YouTube. There is a Dragon Quest ballet that I wrote a story about last week. You can find the link on digitallydownloaded.net if you haven't seen it before. You can just search for it on YouTube, but it is well worth watching. I would never have thought that a Dragon Quest ballet would work, but it absolutely works, and it was really good fun. I really enjoyed watching that. Just what we needed while we're all stuck inside because of isolation.
それにしてもリフレクター。
Oh, good. I'm glad some people. I'm glad I was able to point some people to it. It's yeah.
何？ネーミングが気になる？
Tragically, I was actually going to. The plan was for this year. I was actually going to be in Japan when they were running it in Japan, the actual ballet, and I was all set to go after I'd seen that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there. I think the borders will still be closed at that point. So I'll probably miss TGS and now the Dragon Quest ballet, which is a double whammy.
今の私にはぴったりだ。
We need some magical girls to come and deal with COVID.
エトワールみたいに自ら輝くことはない。
Okay, so we've finished the first boss battle, and we get one of the controversial scenes. So if you ever hear about why blue reflection is controversial, it's for these things. There are scenes in the bath, basically, where Hinako reflects on the world and stuff, and obviously being a bath scene, she's naked, and you don't see anything, but nonetheless, that's enough to make this game wildly controversial in some circles. Yes, you'll absolutely be able to watch the Dragon Quest ballet without needing to understand ballet. It's more the dance experience, and they do a really good job of capturing the essence of Dragon Quest in there anyway, so you'll be able to enjoy it from that angle.
それにしても原種、あんなのがこの世界にいるなんて私にできるのかな。
Yes, there are shower scenes as well, and there are school swimsuit scenes in the swimming carnivals. There's a lot of water in Blue Reflection, a lot of water.
やるしかない。もう一度あのステージに戻るために。だから。
Don't be surprised if that happens at some stage. A couple of these games that I'm streaming, I realised that yesterday when I was playing Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter as well. Some of these games might get me in trouble if the YouTube monitors watch me at some point. That would not be good.
ひとまずは文化祭の準備をする前にみんなと仲良くなる。
仲良く？
Okay, so anyway, that was the save. You just saw the stream cut out temporarily. I think that's a good place to stop the stream this week. We did just beat a big boss, and we're moving on to the next chapter. So I'd just like to say thanks to everybody to jumping in and chatting with me as I be playing this. This game's starting to ramp up. It gets more exciting every week from now on out. So I look forward to the stream the same time next week. If you're around tomorrow, I'm going to be streaming some more of Civilization 6. That's starting to ramp up as well. That's a strategy game, well worth having a watch if you haven't seen that in action before. Otherwise, if you did miss last night's stream, like I mentioned, there was a Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter stream which you'll be able to watch on replay pretty soon. I think it should already actually be there. So thanks again, as always, for joining in. I'm really enjoying this stuff. I hope you are as well, and we will see you next time.